This is Turtle Beach's high-performance wireless smart controller. It's called the Stealth Ultra, and it comes with an ultra premium price. So the question's gonna be, are the features ultra enough to make that price worth it? So this guy's been specifically designed for use on Xbox consoles, but there's some other official compatibility listed here on the side, including Windows 10 and 11 and Android mobile devices as well. I don't like to spend too much time looking at packaging, so here's just a really quick look at what you get here. It is a nice solid premium feeling box, and it does have a factory seal, so you know nobody manhandled it before it got to you. And it's got this little carrying strap, so if you're somebody that still buys stuff in person at brick and mortar stores, you can look pretty cool hanging onto it like this as you walk out. The controller's packed away in a travel case, and I really like that they included this because I kind of expect that on a flagship product that costs this much. It's hard shell, so it should add some protection to the controller, and it zips up to help keep everything nice and secure. So when you open it for the first time, you gotta remove a little plastic here. There we go. Oh wow, this is so nice. Looks like I must have accidentally turned it on because the lights are on. Or did I do that on purpose just to be cool in the video? I guess you'll never know. This big honkin' thing attached to the back is the wireless charging dock. It's got a magnetic connection, and it's clearly strong enough to stay attached to the controller even when you pick it up. And I can't stop looking at this thing, it's so nice. I gotta force myself to put it down though, because there's more to unbox. This has the charging cable. It's USB-A to USB-C. It's 3 meters long, which is about 10 feet, so that gives you lots of versatility. It does feel premium with this braided coating. It does not feel all that flexible though, but I guess that's really not that big of a deal for a controller. Definitely not as big of a deal as it would be for a gaming mouse. Tucked away in the top cover of the case here, there's a couple more small parts. This is a set of swappable thumb caps. They're just the slip-on type. Basically a cover that fits onto the stock stick. Nothing too exciting. This one here adds a whole bunch of extra grippy bumps, and these other ones just have 4 little bumps arranged in a square pattern. The sticks that come stock on the controller are just smooth, so you'll want to use these if you like a more textured feel. And the last thing here is the 2.4 gigahertz wireless dongle. You don't want to lose that guy or you'll be stuck on Bluetooth, which can be okay depending on what you're playing, but generally 2.4 gigahertz is a much faster and more reliable connection. The way they designed this thing, it looks like it should be really heavy, but it's not. Putting it up against a regular Xbox wireless controller with batteries, it's about 30 grams lighter. Surprising, I know. But the build quality is there. The plastics feel hard and strong. There's some soft textures there along the edges to help enhance grip. Nothing feels loose or wobbly, and all the joints look nice and tight. I gotta say Turtle Beach did a pretty good job with the build quality, even though it's on the lighter side. Next up, we gotta talk about that D-pad, because it just keeps grabbing my attention with its metallic or aluminum looking build. It's super shiny with a brushed finish, and it makes me want to touch it. It's equipped with tactile microswitches, and they make a very satisfying press with a sharp clicky sound. It's a little on the louder side, but it's a nice clean sound, and I like it. Turtle Beach says these switches should be good for 5 million clicks. That's not quite the sky-high numbers you see on mechanical keyboard switches, but still, 5 million clicks is a lot of clicks. Next up is the ABXY cluster. It's using the same micro switches as the D-pad. All the main buttons on here are. So again, very nice tactile feel with that clicky sound. The actuation point feels like it's right at the top of the stroke, and that makes everything feel super fast and responsive. It's a night and day difference compared to other controllers with membrane switches. And I prefer these way more. The left and right bumpers are kind of on the shorter side. It's noticeable, but doesn't seem to cause any problems for me. I can still press them whenever I need to without any issue, which is obviously important. They seem to have more of a mushy feel compared to the D-pad and ABXY cluster, even though they all use the same micro switches. These feel like there's this tiny little bit of post-travel after the tactile bump and click sound. It gives the perception of a softer, mushier kind of button as opposed to something that has a sharp, hard stop. Triggers don't have any tactile or audible feedback. They're just smooth with a hard stop right at the bottom. They do feature an adjustable throw. There's 2 positions to choose from. You can go either long or short. I like the long for stuff like acceleration and braking and racing games. Gives you a bit more control, or at least it feels that way for me. And the short throw is great for first-person shooter games where I want the absolute quickest response I can get. And you can change these on the fly. It's just a set of switches, one for each trigger. You just use those to set the position. And they're quite stiff, so you shouldn't accidentally be messing around with that button while you're gaming, even if your finger runs over top of it or something like that. That's obviously a good thing. And I just want to mention how good they actually work. When you set that to the shortest position, there is a very clear hard stop right at the top of the trigger stroke. So if you're playing a shooter game and you want to just dump that whole mag and release as much ammo as you can, that's the way you want to go. Back paddles are in the perfect position to hit with your middle fingers. It's easy to find and press without having to feel around and try and find where stuff is. Having the mechanical switch and tactile feedback comes in handy here because it adds that extra little bit of sense where you can tell you've made a press. I know I keep going on about these tactile switches, but I can't stress it enough. They just add so much to the overall feel and performance of this controller. Jumping over to the thumbsticks, these are using Hall Effect actuators. If you don't know what that is, it's basically a form of super advanced alien technology from Mars. The big difference from analog sticks is that they don't use any contact parts to track stick movement. And since the parts never physically touch, they shouldn't be subject to wear and tear. And that means stick drift over time shouldn't be an issue. Properly designed and implemented Hall Effect thumbsticks like these are like the holy grail of controller technology. These sticks glide around the circular gates like butter. Very low friction and very precise feeling. They start registering inputs insanely quick. It takes no effort at all to get these things tracking movement. And they quickly snap back to the neutral position without much wobble when you let go. The circularity test shows an average error around 1.4%, which is a solid result. The stock caps are smooth with the typical indented concave shape. We can change that by putting on one of the other included caps. These not only change the texture, but they also add some bulk, making the surface area larger and the stick height just a little bit taller. It's a nice option, but not the best implementation of thumbstick customization I've seen on a controller. That title goes to the Victrix Gambit with its fully swappable sticks. One of the big features of the Stealth Ultra is that command display. It's a 1.5-inch screen that lets you take control of your settings right on the controller. You can do stuff like remap buttons, set dead zones, switch between up to 10 onboard profiles, and that's awesome because you can configure different settings for your favorite games and then quickly swap back and forth between them. If you plug a headset into the 3.5mm jack, you can get audio control, including volume, chat mix, mic mute, that sort of stuff. You can change the intensity of the vibration motors. And there's actually even more. It's a really detailed system that gives you enough control that you don't have to rely on the software app if you don't want to. But if you do want to use it, it's called Control Center 2, and it's a free download in the Microsoft Store. This has nice, big, and easy to follow menus, so you can see everything like really easily. It's a lot easier to work with than that little screen on the controller, as good as it is. Remapping buttons is as easy as clicking on the button and then just selecting the function you want. You can set your response and dead zone separately for each stick, and this slider can go all the way up to 100% if you basically want to register nothing. Same thing here, trigger dead zones can be set however you want, all the way up to 100% separately for each one, left and right. The audio tab has a couple of different EQ settings or presets that you can choose from to quickly change your audio, and you can also enable superhuman hearing, which is a feature that basically destroys the audio quality to exaggerate the highs and bring out things like footsteps to try and give you a competitive advantage. We have the lighting tab to take control of the RGB, and you've got the usual settings, stuff like presets like breathing, color cycle, pulse, dynamic. You can change the speed, and you can set custom colors if you want to as well. All four of the vibration motors can be set separately, so you can really take control of how you want the controller to respond and feel. And finally, we have some system settings and a place to update to the latest firmware. It's a lot of customization, and that's how it should be. If I'm paying for a flagship controller, I want to know I can customize it however I want, and there's no complaints here. When it comes to battery life, I didn't run into any issues with this thing while I was testing. Turtle Beach says it's rated for up to 30 hours of playtime on a full charge, and a full recharge takes just 2 hours as long as you're set up through USB 3.0. After playing with the Stealth Ultra for a little while now, I'm totally sold on this thing. Its price tag puts it into a category with other top-tier premium offerings, and I think it's justified. It's got pretty much everything I like to see on a flagship controller except some swappable thumbsticks, and I mean actual sticks, not just these little rubber caps that they've got on here. Other than that one minor complaint, I think Turtle Beach hit a home run with the Stealth Ultra. The Hall Effect sticks, mechanical buttons, sexy D-pad, loads of customization, and RGB that actually looks good. I mean, it's got it all. If you're in the market for a new top-tier flagship controller and you got the budget to back it up, then the Stealth Ultra is a really nice way to go. I'm gonna have more specs and details for you down in the description of this video. Make sure you check that stuff out. I'll throw some purchasing links down there as well, so you can click on those if you wanna get one of these. And make sure you get subscribed on your way out. And we'll see you soon.